Good evening, you're watching Breaking Today News right here in Switch TV. I am Lincoln Wumbogo. Our sign language interpreter is Teresia Washira. We have a lot in line for you tonight, but first, let's take a look at the headlines. Mount Kenya business moguls endorse ODM leader RAILA Odinga's 2022 presidential bid. ODM party divided on whether to support a bill proposed by a Gunja member of parliament seeking to bar GRAFT suspects from being cleared to participate in elections once formally charged. Did you know that rabies is classified as one of the most dangerous viral diseases in the world? Tonight, as the globe marks World Rabies Day, we tell you about this prevalent disease and so much more. Our 30 minutes of the broadcast begins now. While the conversation on whether or not the change in the education curriculum is called for, students in Ranch Primary School in Ganza constituency are facing the pangs of hunger, forcing the little angels to prepare their own meals within the school compound. Our reporter David Kagina tells us a story of pupils who seek to quench their thirst for education on empty stomachs.
One can be forgiven for thinking that this is one of the recently adopted CBC classes in progress. This is a different case altogether. The students you see here are preparing lunch in a hurry so they can have a bite before the lunch break is over. Cooking lunch in these bushes is not a new phenomenon. Well, for those who fail to contribute a thing here, theirs is just to yawn away on the classroom floor as they await the next lesson. This is Ganze Primary School, more than 160 kilometers west of Kilifi town, where pupils learn on the floor and cook lunch in the bushes.
Mimi niko mbali kidogo na hapa. Watoto wangu wanatembea kama saa 1:30 ndio wafike hapa shule.
Most villages from where the pupils come from are more than 5 kilometers away, but all learners are expected to be in school by 6:45 a.m. They stay at the school till evening, many times on empty stomachs, since the institution does not have a school feeding program.
Naweza mtoto naweza kula halafu asubuhi akawa hatapata chakula. Akaja hiyo shuleni, wala wakati wengine naambiwa shida kwa mtoto wako analala shule sababu ya njaa.
Nikifika nyumbani nafika huko hakuna chakula. Narudi shule niko na njaa, nikifika hapa nimechelewa tayari. Walimu wananiweka fimbo kama moja hivi. Na kwa nimefanya mwenyewe, sitaweza kumwambia mwalimu asinichape. Itakuwa ni makosa yangu mimi mwenyewe na ni makosa ya mzazi wangu. Ameyafanya. Nikikosa basi ndio siku zinaendelea. Na tunaendelea na maisha hivi.
Those who are lucky to have food are forced to cook lunch for themselves in the bushes and shrubs dotting the school compound, even as some dash home for lunch and other pupils yawn about in their classes to wait for the day to end so they can eat at home.
Ndivyo tukapangana tupike hapa. Wale ambao hawakuchanga, si kama marafiki sisi tunawaita tunakuja kula pamoja. Halafu tukimaliza tunaenda darasani. Na hao kama siku hao nao wako nacho, sisi nao wanatuita tunaenda kula pamoja. Kimaliza tunarudi darasani.
Huwa tunachanga mara nyingine watu wa nyumbani unga. Kama tumekosa tunachanga hapa shule.
Besides lack of food and drinking water in the school, some of the students do not have shoes and are forced to walk barefooted under the scorching sun to and fro every single day.
Inabidi wanakuja mchana ili waweze kupishana na wale wa darasa la chekechea na darasa la kwanza waingie katika yale madarasa yale. Kwa hivyo kwa sababu ya huo upungufu tunatumia hiyo system ya shifting.
Most classrooms do not have desks and pupils either sit on the dusty floors or on mats made of wild fiber, locally known as ngonge, to study. Pupils have to endure the hot climatic conditions like severe drought to attend classes and often dodge wild animals on their way to and from school.
Jiani kuna nyoka, kuna miba, ni usiku mtoto hayoni. Hata ndovu, sahi kuna ndovu sana huku kwetu.
Kuja najafika pale barabarani nikakutana na ndovu wawili. Nilirudi nyumbani kwenda kumuita babangu. Najafika hapo wamepita wameenda hivi. Ndio wale wenzangu tukijafika hapa shule wakaniambia wamekutana nao huko, wanaenda hivyo huko mbele. Wakaja wakaniambia na mimi nikasema basi nimeona pale wawili.
Nilitoka nyumbani nafika kwa darasa nikakuta nyoka, nikatoka kamuita mwalimu. Mwalimu akaja akajamuua alafu akanipa tambusha.
The head teacher, John Jeffwa, says apart from having only one permanent classroom, the school lacks teachers, desks and toilets, among other crucial necessities.
Hii shule toka ilipoanzwa mwaka wa 2010, jengo ambalo mnaliona hapa mbele yenu ndilo jengo la pekee ambalo limeweza kutumiwa kama madarasa, na hali hiyo imefanya elimu kuwa ngumu sana, hasa mambo ya masomo darasani.
The area legislator Teddy Mwambire says what we see in this school is just a representation of what happens in more than 30 public schools within his constituency.
Hapa ndani ya Ganze niko na shule takriban 40 ambako siko hali hii. Na ni jambo la kusikitisha kwa sababu mimi nina takriban shule za msingi 165 na kila shule na mahitaji yake tofauti. Lakini shule kama iko hali kama hii ambayo tuko hapa, ni kumaanisha kwamba iko hali mbaya zaidi. Kwa sababu shule yenyewe iko na choo kimoja ambayo inamaanisha kwamba kile choo kimewekwa ni cha wasichana. Wavulana hapa kufikia karne ya leo bado wanajisaidia msituni. Walimu wenyewe pia wanaenda huko msituni kwa sababu hakuna choo ambacho wanaweza kutumia.
Tunaomba kama serikali iko itukumbuke na kutujengea hii shule.
Mimi ninajaribu kadri ya uwezo wangu kuhakikisha kwamba kiwango kikubwa tunakitumia kwa elimu, lakini zile pesa ambazo za miundo msingi ambazo tuko nazo ni kama takriban milioni 67 hivi. Hasa milioni 67 tukianza kugawa sehemu tofauti inakuwa ngumu kwa sababu lazima uangalie upande wa elimu, upande wa usalama, upande wa utawala na sehemu tofauti. Ukigawa namna inakuwa kuna shida zaidi.
The appeal from the region is that the Education Cabinet Secretary George Magoha and other education officials should visit the deplorable schools in this area for them to save the situation. David Kagina, Switch TV.
Thank you, David Kagina. Those are such unfair circumstances, but those children and their resilience, it will pay off one day, but someone is clearly sleeping in class. Education is meant to be the equalizer, but not under such conditions. Now, ODM party is divided on whether to support a bill proposed by a Gunja Member of Parliament of HYUNDAI seeking to bar GRAFT suspects from being cleared to participate in elections once formally charged. As our senior political reporter Joel Church narrates, the bill is expected to be presented to the Justice and Legal Affairs Committee of the National Assembly. Take a look.
The bill, according to Public Accounts Committee Chairman Opiyo Wandayi, seeks to lock out public officers facing corruption charges from either running or holding office.
Such officers will be required to relinquish office pending clearance by the courts. By the same token, persons who are facing corruption charges in court will be barred from being nominated as candidates for elective positions.
A wide rift on backing the bill has already appeared within the ODM party itself, with fears that it could in the future be used for political witch hunt.
Mimi hapo hiyo pigment hatujui because unajua maneno yanasungukanga siku hizi Kenya ni Kenya ya witch. Like 70% of the people who are taken to courts are innocent. So as a person I should not really concur with such a decision.
Questions, however, arise on how the bill will be effective, considering several governors and lawmakers are still remaining in offices despite facing serious charges in court, including murder and corruption, among others.
Tunapitisha bunge sometimes kuimake sheria na ni mshameno. Leo inakata upande hii, kesho itakata upande hii, ama inakata nyuma na mbele.
Currently, the law provides that a person is innocent until proven guilty, and with the country's slow wheels of justice, most public officers suspected of graft have held office despite facing charges in court. The proposed amendments by Wandayi are expected to be presented to the Justice and Legal Affairs Committee in the National Assembly. Joel Chacha, Switch TV, Nairobi.
Joel Churchill, thank you. Still on matters politics, the MT.KENYA Foundation, chaired by business mogul Peter Munga, have promised their support for RAILA Odinga in the upcoming general elections. RAILA, who is eyeing the presidential seat, has continued to propagate for the unification of the country under his Azimio la Umoja narrative. Take a look.
Tunakuwa tunashangilia, tunaangalia milima. Na mimi hapa chini nimeangalia, nimeona nyuso mingi zaidi ambayo mimi najua. Karibu kila meza nikihesabu hapa najua watu hapo. Kwa hiyo mimi najihisi niko nyumbani. Nataka kuanza kutoa shukrani kwa viongozi wa Mount Kenya Foundation kwa juhudi ambayo wamefanya kuleta sisi pamoja. Hii sasa ni mara ya pili, karibu mara tatu, ambayo wameandaa karamu kama hii, na tukapata fursa ya kuonana na marafiki yetu na ndugu zetu kutoka Mlima Kenya. Mwezi mmoja na kitu iliyopita tulikuwa hapa na viongozi kutoka Mlima Kenya ya Mashariki, na tukasherekea hapa, tukala, tukanyweshwa mpaka tukashiba. Na tena sasa wameamua wakaturudisha tena hapa. Mimi natoa shukrani kubwa sana kwao kwa kufanya haya. So I'm happy to be among friends here and patriotic Kenyans. Listening to those who have spoken here before me, or say that all of them are people who have got the interest of this.
Meanwhile, a section of Mount Kenya residents have refuted claims by ODM leader RAILA Odinga that he now has the majority of votes from the region. But as Robert Ouma reports, the triumphant welcome accorded to the ODM leader may not translate to a direct ticket at the ballot.
The three-day tour by ODM leader RAILA Odinga in the mountain region to woo voters ahead of the 2022 poll seemed to be a green light to ODM party that will also field a candidate in the next general elections.
Vijana hoye! Vijana hoye!
RAILA Odinga, in a company of other Jubilee and ODM leaders, conducted a thorough sermon on the mountain, leaving the leaders with full of optimism.
Hawa wote wako pamoja na sisi kwa hii kitu tunaita azimio ya umoja wa Kenya.
However, according to a section of Mount Kenya residents, RAILA cannot just claim the mountain this early by any vote seeking.
Upande wa kusema kwamba RAILA atachukua kura zote za Mount Kenya, sioni kama itawezekana.
That time ni kama sasa wameamua kumpatia kura. Ingiza itakuwa 100%.
Hiyo ushawishi wake maybe inaweza kuwa kwa, let's say, political leaders in Mount Kenya.
In the recent past, Mount Kenya region has attracted various leaders drumming campaign for candidates aiming to fit in the president's shoes. It is less than 11 months before the 2022 general election, and the scramble for votes gear has been ignited and the speed is picking up so fast. But the big question is, who will win what then when the country is ready to pick up another political shift? Robert Ouma, Switch TV in Nairobi.
Well, that story by Robert Ouma takes us to a short commercial break. Stay tuned, we'll be back with more. Welcome back and thank you for keeping it Switch TV. Send in your feedback and comments to our SMS line 111 Switch TV Kenya and a link on all social media handles. The United Green Movement Party is calling on the National Assembly to do away with the clause on public expenditure, especially the debt ceiling, which stands at 9 trillion shillings. Led by the movement's co-party leader Agustino Neto, UGM says a high debt ceiling has maimed the country's economy. Neto has called for an audit of all national debts acquired under the Jubilee government.
Kenyans are heavily debt-laden of faults or mistakes that are not of their own. Kenyans are debt-laden because the Parliament of Kenya has abdicated its role and has left the task of fixing the debt ceiling to the Cabinet Secretary of Treasury, who is an interested party in how much money comes to the country. We think that Parliament needs to do its role and to make sure that it takes properly and seriously its oversight role as anticipated by Article 11 of the Constitution in terms of helping Kenya attain and realize proper fiscal discipline and also to attain the levels of debt that the East African community countries are agreed or anticipated, which is at 50% of GDP ratio to the debt ratios.
Moving on, Kenya has received a 20,000-litre boost of oxygen tanks to fight against COVID-19 from the World Bank. The tanks, which will be refilled by the Ministry of Health for 1 year, are set to boost the health outcome for critically ill patients at the Kenyatta University Teaching and Referral Hospital, as HYUNDAI reports.
With the commissioning of the 20,000 litres of oxygen tanks, the Ministry of Health says not only will the oxygen cater for COVID-19 patients, but will also cater for those under critical care. While receiving the oxygen tanks earlier today, the Kenyatta University Teaching and Referral Hospital says they have been receiving an overwhelming number of COVID-19 patients, even as the Ministry of Health reports a low infection rate. As of today, 255 positive cases, 7 deaths and 508 recoveries have been recorded, bringing the positivity rate to 4%. Meanwhile, the Ministry of Health is targeting to vaccinate 50,000 prisoners in a 5-day drive that began today at the Naivasha Maximum Prison.
You did not come here to die. You just came here to be rehabilitated, but not to die. Ni lazima kwa wakati huu ambao tuko hapa tupate hii chanjo ndio tuweze kurudia famili zetu. Hii virusi jameni sio mchezo. Hii sio mchezo. So I want to urge each and every Kenyan who is within the categories we have set to make sure that they have been vaccinated. Sisi tuna ambition. Mashujaa Day 58th Mashujaa Day tumefikisha 5.8 vaccines. At least 5.8 million doses tumepatia wa Kenya. Na nyinyi ndio mtasaidia kufika hicho kiwango.
The 5-day exercise targeting 133 correctional facilities across the country seeks to pave way for resumption of family visits that was suspended in April 2020.
Tupate chanjo, wacheni porojo nyingi hapo, na tuko tayari kushirikiana na Wizara ya Afya na wale wengine kuhakikisha kwamba wale wetu, ndugu zetu na dada ambao mko katika service hii assignments tumewashughulikia.
Since May 2020, 9,622, this including 17 staff and 15 inmates, have succumbed to the virus and over 91% have recovered. And as the government targets to vaccinate at least 5.8 million by Mashujaa Day, so far 3,664,721 people have received at least one jab. Shilangetich, Switch TV.
That story was produced by Harry Chimere and voiced by Shilangetich. Ladies, thank you. Now, meanwhile, today marks World Rabies Day 2021, a day meant to spread awareness over rabies, which is classified as one of the 4 most dangerous viral diseases in the world. Rabies has been prevalent in Kenya and Africa at large for years, majorly due to failure to effectively eradicate it, as Scott Murioki reports.
Rabies is a viral disease
transmitted through being bitten by an infected dog. If not treated, its death rate is 100% and is extremely painful since it heightens all the senses in the body, according to Dr. Emily Mudoga.
The head, then the process of death may be anything from 2 weeks to a month. But if you're bitten on the foot and you don't realize, the longest case we've had is 3 years before death.
Paris Keringet is among the victims of rabies, which affected her livestock that has been a huge loss for her since she majorly relied on her cows for sustenance.
Nikaambiwa ya kwamba hiyo mbwa ilikuwa na kichaa na wananchi walijaribu kuua. Kumbe iliuma ng'ombe yangu na sikujua.
Rabies is preventable since it has a vaccine for both humans and animals, which is vital according to Dr. Mudoga, as well as proper dog owner responsibility.
There's a whole lot when it comes to responsible dog ownership, making sure your dog is vaccinated, treated, you're being of its reproduction. And there are services where you can have the animal spayed and neutered so you don't have to produce anymore.
The government set out a national rabies vaccination program in 2019. However, COVID-19 slowed down the progress, which is expected to pick up pace now that there are measures in place put to control the pandemic.
As the world marks the World Rabies Day, Kenya still has a long way to go before eradicating the disease. Scott Murioki, Switch TV News.
Now from the business desk, digitization, multi-sectoral collaboration, diversity in forms of tourism and promotion of local tourism have been cited to be the key pointers that will ensure robust growth in the tourism sector, even as the sector looks at bouncing back from the grappling effects of the COVID-19 pandemic. Stakeholders in these sectors say that the future of tourism in the country looks optimistic, but will take the effort of more collaborations and change of mindset and strategy. Our business reporter Brian Wende does a review of the strategies laid to help revive the economy.
It is no secret that tourism has suffered a huge hit since the onset of COVID-19 in 2020. But after a national stakeholder conversation during the World Tourism Day held in Kisumu County yesterday, one key strategy has been the need to digitize tourism.
We need to put whatever we have out there. We have so much, but how many people know about what we have?
Speaking in an event moderated and aired by Switch TV in partnership with the county government of Kisumu, Dr. Esther Munyiri, Director for Global Tourism Resilience and Crisis Management Center East Africa, has emphasized the need for more collaboration from different sectors, including hospitality and the transport sector.
This break has shown that one cannot work alone. The government cannot work alone. The private sector cannot survive alone. The various communities cannot survive alone. And therefore, all these players have come together. And it is now that we've seen these collaborations really peak, and we are happy that we are moving to the right direction.
Achio Jang, the Minister for Tourism, Arts, Culture and Sports in Kisumu County, has emphasized the need for promotion of local tourism going forward and the diversity in forms of tourism.
If you don't have so much to travel out of the country or too far across from Kisumu to Mombasa, but you can travel from Kisumu to Kakamega. It's a road trip, it's a bus trip. There's so many options. There's walking safaris. There's so many things you can do. There are various aspects of tourism that the public is now engaging in. One big one I've seen in Kenya is solo traveling. So I might have some money and I want to go, but my friends or my family cannot join me. There's so many organizations. There's one just called the Solo Traveler. You join, Archie joins, and I meet other people on that trip, and we go and we celebrate and experience our country. Collaborate. There are artists out here with us here on Derry Island that we've invited. Collaborate with them. Bring artists to showcase their work in your lobbies. I mean, you've just got to tweak it a little bit and let the public start to experience other parts that make up the tourism space. So it's artists, it's poetry, it's dance, it's fashion shows, it's music, it's orchestra, whatever it is, bring it to the people.
Speaking in Diani, Kwale County during a beach cleanup exercise, Tourism Principal Secretary Safina Kwekwe has said that domestic tourism remains the viable option to revive tourism businesses in the wake of a pandemic that has disrupted businesses all over the world.
Hata ukiwa wewe ni mtembezi
kwa beach. Kwanza kama Kenya tumesema hataki na plastics katika maeneo yetu.
Reporting for Switch TV from Kisumu County, my name is Brian Mwenda.
Thank you, Brian Mwenda. My colleagues Clifford Ndubi and Robert Barala tell me that Ndere Island was a movie. Now, moving on, VIVO has officially launched its latest smartphone in the Kenyan market, the Vivo Y21. Vivo Y21 succeeds the Vivo Y20 from the last year in the budget Y lineup. Vivo Y21 will have a 6.51 720p display. At the helm will be a Helio P35 processor, together with 64GB of onboard storage and 4GB of RAM with an extended 1GB RAM, borrowed from the onboard memory to help with multitasking and gaming. Vivo Y21 will be powered by a 5,000 mAh battery and support 18 watts fast Type-C charging.
Now this particular phone has unique features such as the 4GB plus 1GB extended RAM, meaning you can be able to add up your RAM and extend your RAM for a faster phone performance as well. In terms of design, it has a very unique design, 5,000 milliamperes battery capacity, and it's very, very light. Also on the side, you get the fingerprint on the side as well. This is very unique for a product that is around this particular price segment, which is only 16,999.
Vivo Y21, we have given our customers 3 months free screen replacement that allows any customer that buys within the first month that he is able to get a free screen replacement at no.
MT.KENYA, the official Hyundai car dealer in the country, has announced the arrival of the first new electric vehicle to be commercialized in Kenya. Hyundai Kona Electric, that runs over 400 kilometers on a single charge, is set to meet the ever-growing need for petrol and diesel alternatives.
No reason that in Kenya we cannot drive an electric car. I have driven an electric car in Kenya for the past 5 years without any problem. Electric car is just a simple car like any other car with a different engine. An engine that needs no maintenance, an engine that does need no petrol, an engine and a car that is 80% cheaper to operate than a petrol or diesel car.
It's now time to get sporty. Back-to-back 1500 meters Olympic champion Faith KIPYEGON is the LG's sports personality for the month of August. The mother of one successfully defended her 1500 meters gold medal at the Tokyo 2020 Games in a new Olympic record of 3 minutes and 53 seconds, beating Great Britain's Laura Meyer and Dutch star Stefan Hassan. To win the monthly award, KIPYEGON went home with a state-of-the-art LG artificial intelligence washing machine worth 92,000 shillings and a glittering trophy engraved with her name.
Nimekuwa surprised kutoka home kufika hapa camp. Hapa camp imekuwa kama nyumbani. Nilipigiwa simu, tulikuwa na meeting, tukaambiwa kuna meeting. So kufika hapa naona a big surprise. So nimekuwa surprised. Asanteni sana, nimeshukuru.
Congratulations, Faith KIPYEGON. Zoo FC will make a league return on 6 November 2021. This is after they had been relegated from the Football Kenya Federation Premier League after being found guilty of match manipulation by World Football Governing Body FIFA. They will be competing in the Batike National Super League.
Well, Vincent Mishiku, the goalkeeper, died. Then he placed the ball to the Ghanaian Augustine Otto. He fumbled.
Kenyan professional pugilist FATUMA ZARIKA'S said she's punching furiously on the bag to reclaim the World Boxing Council Super Bantamweight title she lost 2 years ago. ZARIKA surrendered the title to a Mexican rival Yemeleth Yemi in a rematch bout in Chihuahua, Mexico in 2019 after clinging on to it for 3 consecutive years. ZARIKA'S father urged Kenyan boxers to continue pursuing their dreams without let-up while assuring them of a sumptuous harvest ahead. Pep Guardiola's side Manchester City will be looking to extend their winning ways with a victory over Mauricio Pochettino's side PSG. Man City in their first clash defeated 10-man RB Leipzig 6-3 to seat atop the table. PSG, on the other hand, will be looking to score their first win in the Champions League campaign after they drew 1-1.